Welcome back, everybody. Steve Burton here at Scale to Sell, hosting the show myself today, not without my son Adam. Today is episode 35. We're going to be talking about growth through acquisition. We're bringing back a friend of the show, a teammate of ours, actually, M&A expert Jeff Snell, and talking about growth through acquisition. Many people out there wanting to grow their business will do it organically out there with sales teams on the ground, trying to bring in new clients, doing marketing, other opportunities to, again, grow the business. But one of the quickest ways, if there's millions of people, perhaps baby boomer business owners looking to exit, they'd like to have and hand that business off to the next generation. Sometimes it's an internal sale, meaning they want their kids, an operations manager, to take over. But many times that's not the opportunity. In fact, only about 30% of the time that is a real thing. So Jeff Snell, M&A expert, part of our team right here. As I remind people, he doesn't pay me. I don't pay him. He's just part of a successful growth of your business, and at some point in time, exiting the business. But welcome back, Jeff. It's been a little bit of time.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the invite always.
You're Jeff's based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm based out of Virginia. It really doesn't matter. We work with clients nationwide. But Jeff, a little bit about your background to refresh the memory, because it's been, again, a little bit of time. You are the first repeat person we've had on the Scale to Sell podcast, but just a little bit about your background, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, I've been an M&A advisor for going on 21 years now. Got into the industry after selling the technology firm that I had started in 1996. Sold it in 2003. Had a unfortunate negative experience, and it was actually the buyers of the business that recommended that I consider becoming an M&A advisor. They were both IBM executives, and they had looked at a number of transactions that had business brokers or M&A advisors involved, and they had had a negative experience every time. And when I engaged with him after my broker had made the introduction, he essentially disappeared. Was not involved in due diligence or document production or anything post-introduction. So I didn't know any better. I just knew what needed to be done and interacted and engaged with the buyers to meet their and the lender's needs. And at the end of it all, they said, you should really consider this because you seem to have a knack for it. I immediately thought, I'm not going to do this if I can't do it the right way. And I was maybe conscious enough at the tender age of 33 probably to realize that I didn't know what the right way was. There's always a right way to do things. So I looked to the internet because I was a tech guy, and I found the International Business Brokers Association, the Merger and Acquisition Source, which are sister organizations. And I called on I think it was a Thursday afternoon, probably 4 o'clock. And the nice lady who answered the phone said, if you're interested in this industry, you're in luck because our annual meeting starts on Sunday. So Jeff being Jeff, as your clients or prospects get to know me a little better, will hopefully appreciate the sarcastic nature of my personality. Decided that if I could get her to give me the early bird rate 72 hours before it started, that I would go. And the rest is kind of history. In 2015, I got involved in leadership through several committees, but principally the credentialing committee for the Certified Business Intermediary designation. And I've been the chairman or chairperson of that committees ever since. I was the chairperson of the overall international organization in 2019 and continue to serve on numerous task forces and committees trying to advance the profession and help other people that want to participate in M&A and Main Street business brokerage transactions, what I'll call the right way, as much as I can. So I hold the lifetime Master Certified Business Intermediary designation, I guess, as you would expect, as the chairman of that committee. One of only 5 in the world at the moment. I'm a Merger and Acquisition Master Intermediary and a certified M&A professional through the Kennesaw State University program that sponsors the M&A Source program. I'm a firm believer in credentialing, voluntary continuing education. As you mentioned, I'm based in Raleigh, North Carolina. We work nationwide, but I happen to be in North Carolina, which is not a licensure state. So unlike you, that has all kinds of requirements to be able to conduct business, anybody, my 15-year-old daughter could raise her hand and say, I'm a business broker, and there's nothing stopping her from doing that. But firm believer in having a professional practice approach, and enjoy working with you and your clients and your client prospects in maximizing their value when it comes time to exit, whether that be as soon as possible or 10, 20 years down the road.
So one of the things that we do is we say, know your value. Many of the business owners out there, if you're listening to us, we want to know the value on an annual basis. One, if you want to protect, grow, maybe, harvest that equity at some point in time, it's always good to know your numbers. It's hard to grow it if you don't know where you're at right now. So that's one thing we do. And you can get your opinion of value. Jeff will do that because you're a friend of the show, friend of the podcast here at scaletosell.com/value, scaletosell.com/value. And we'll come back around to that. Myself, Jeff, I own a few different businesses, a financial advisor in the financial services business. I've been in other industries throughout my career in business, but right now everything is financially services related. And I had an opportunity about 5 years ago to buy somebody out. And on one side of the business, he financed it for me for 5 years. It was a really good opportunity. I didn't have to come out of pocket any money, and it's still providing a really good stream of income that I've taken and actually had the opportunity to build on. He sold me a secondary part of his business that was insurance related. And I really discounted that a little bit. And that small investment I made that I did write a check all at one time produced, I repaid myself 20 times over in the first year. But I've also done acquisitions improperly, and they come back and bit me. So here's what I'm getting at, everyone, is that in this country today, there's millions of baby boomer business owners, and many of them, or some of them at least anyway, want to exit their business, and their kids aren't not there to take over the business, and they're looking for a third party. Sometimes it's a competitor. Maybe that might be you. You might be in a space, whatever it might be, HVAC, roofing company, whatever it might be. And the proper growth through a strategic acquisition done correctly, because if it's done incorrectly, it could really sidetrack and not only hurt that new opportunity, but drag down your own personal business. I've had that happen. Learned my lessons there, don't want to do it. But Jeff, just as you're talking, I think this is a growing trend because we're starting to see that wave of baby boomers that are getting into they're in their 60s, mid to late 60s, 70s. And they thought they might work forever. Now they're rethinking that. And so there's a lot of strong businesses out there that you can really grow your business if it's done right. But just a little bit to that conversation, I think that's something you may have seen a little bit of in the past, but I think it's going to be a thing for at least another 5, maybe 10 years. And not just through a private equity firm buying them out, but I'm here talking about you, the owner operator. But Jeff, your thoughts there about a growth through acquisition.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think every business owner, entrepreneur knows that they need to be grinding every day. They're growing organically. They're marketing, they're networking, they're looking for referrals, and that's awesome. But to maximize the exit value, growth by acquisition, which we're defining as acquiring companies like yours and bringing it under your umbrella, is the exclamation point to the whole process. It's the exponential growth tool that you can use. So the corollary to this, and probably the first point that I want to bring to this podcast, is that if you have a business that's worth, let's say, $1 million or $500,000, that's going to be valued based on seller discretionary earnings, and you're probably going to see an exit value of 2 times to 3 times how much that business creates for you as the owner, right? Well, if you can grow that to 5 million or 10 million organically or by acquisition or by combination, then you're going to be valued based on EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And that multiple is going to be between 4 and 6 times. So this is the magic recipe that private equity groups and home offices use. They take multiple small businesses and they acquire them while they're managing their organic growth, and they roll them up. That's a term we all know. They roll up multiple small businesses to make one big business, and then they exit instead of at a 2 to 3 times multiple of SDE at a 4 to 6 times multiple of EBITDA. Millions, hundreds of millions. And if we're looking at the entire macroeconomic landscape, hundreds of billions of dollars have been made this way.
So Jeff, one of the things, so if we've got somebody in the space that's listening, whichever part of the country you're in, it's not that we have opportunities for you each and every day, but they're opening up. You get in contact with us and let us know what you're doing. Then we'll have the radar out looking for those opportunities in your marketplace. Plumbing and heating, HVAC, these home services businesses right now, there are all kinds of companies wanting to grow. And if you're not acquiring them, you might have one of these other larger companies that acquire them, and somebody you didn't even know that was your competition coming in with plenty of money funded. So you're either going to buy them, or you might pass on the opportunity and somebody else. I'm not saying that to scare anybody, but you have a new competition that's got millions and millions of dollars to go out and market in your marketplace. And now all of a sudden you've got a competitor that you let happen because you didn't look at the opportunity. I think that might be a defensive action at first. That might be your opportunity, but just some thoughts there really quick, Jeff.
So Steve, let's talk about what some of the people listening that are business owners might be concerned about. And that's, how do I acquire a competitor? Where do I get the money? How do I fund it? Well, the current SBA standard operating procedures and guidelines are so favorable to buyers right now. Because of high interest rates, most people think, oh, well, I don't want to buy a multi-million-dollar home when interest rates are 6.75%. I don't want to buy a business when SBA rates are currently 10.25%. Well, I know this is counterintuitive, but I want everyone to stick with me here, because lenders cannot approve an SBA guaranteed loan unless it meets what's called a debt service coverage ratio. Debt service coverage ratio sounds really fancy, but all it means is the company has to make enough profit to service the debt, pay the owner a livable wage by 25% or 50% margin. So if you have a $10,000 monthly debt service on this acquisition, the company has to make $12,500 to $15,000 per month after you've been paid a livable wage. So you really don't have a lot of downside. And we can do this with a 5% down payment, and in some cases, a 0% down payment if it's a partner buyout, or if we have what's called buyer equity injection via seller financing. That another topic for another day. Happy to get into it with anybody on this podcast that's interested. But in a high interest rate environment, the acquisition price is capped by the debt service coverage ratio. So you get a lower price by formula, not by negotiating or being shrewd. The bank's not going to approve it unless it's at that lower price. And now let's go 2 months or 2 years into the administration, or 4 years or 6 years down the road. Rates come down. The effective multiple that you've paid for that business could be dropped by 30, 40, maybe, depending if rates go back to where they were pre-COVID, by 50%. And you're now in a position where you can exit on your terms at a 4 to 6 times multiple instead of a 2 to 3 times multiple. We're looking at a very unique opportunity from a macroeconomic perspective to plan the exit for the business that you may have been working and growing organically for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. We had a call earlier today, Steve, with somebody who's owned a business for over 30 years, and they're in a prime position to exit. So I'm very excited about all these things that are coming together. It's kind of the perfect storm for your business owner prospects and clients to align with you and your team of lawyers, tax planners, financial advisors, insurance advisors. I'm just really excited.
No doubt. So, the baby boomers again are, people that are looking to exit. So if you're a Generation Xer, millennial or younger, and looking to grow your business, you can sweat it out. No doubt. That's one way to do it. But you can, in some cases, increase your sales by 25, 50, 100%. You can double, triple the size of your business through a properly done acquisition. So our team at Scale to Sell, including Jeff and others, we have a tax planning team. We've got other experts on our side. are going to make sure that one, that business has got the right value. You're not buying something that's not correctly valued, not overpay. I think with the SBA loans, I think it's going to be difficult to do that. Maybe that's a safeguard there for you. But I'm hearing a lot of positives. I'm seeing a lot of positives out there. And so if this is an opportunity, we just wanted to touch the base and kind of tiptoe through it. If you're wanting to have a conversation with us, then go to scaletosell.com/discovery. There's phone numbers there where you can get on our calendars. You can have a conversation with me and Jeff and our team to see which industry you're in, what you're looking for. And Jeff, we've seen some people that, I've done this myself. My financial services business, I'm based in southeastern Virginia, and I was growing pretty rapidly, but I had an opportunity about 18 years ago to expand into the Richmond market. It was 120 miles up the road. And within 6 months, I doubled the value of my business. That wasn't an acquisition. That was my point is I just went into another market. And so sometimes in your situation, it's easier. It would have been easier, I guess, if I was able to acquire a business up that way during that period of time. But I did it organically. But that expanding into a different market, not overstretching yourself, but I think we might see some of that expanding into a new market, and a great way to do it is through an acquisition. What do you think, Jeff? I'm sure you've experienced that.
Yeah, growth by acquisition. You can vertically grow, you can horizontally grow, geographically, adjacent markets. So you mentioned earlier on the podcast, home service is really hot right now. You're an HVAC owner, you're a roofing contractor, a plumbing contractor, electrical contractor, lawn services. Whether it be what we call cut and blow or fertilization, weed control, pest control, insect control. They're very hot right now, and they're scaling. They're scaling by acquisition. But certainly, geographic growth is one of many ways that you can either buy. So that's the acquisition conversation that we're having on this podcast, or you can build. And there's nothing wrong with building. I've built many businesses from nothing. I've only bought 3 businesses, but I can tell you from experience, and I think it's logical. I'm not smarter than anybody else watching this podcast, that if you buy a successful business, you have established relationships with vendors, with clients, with bankers. You have cash flow from day one. So when I started my first business, you know what I had? I had a credit card. That's all I had. But when you choose or you embrace growing with acquisition, not as a sole course, but as part of your strategy to maximize your exit, I think there's great opportunity right now.
You think about it, well, I don't want to go through the cost. Well, we just told you might be able to finance the entire purchase of the new business, and it's going to cost you something anyway. If you're going to grow in especially another market, you're going to have to buy equipment and trucks and do marketing, put salespeople and find technicians, workers out there. It's going to cost you a lot. This just saves a lot of time. Time is money, and so I like that ability.
A well-structured transaction will pay for itself. Now you have the integration and the management responsibility to make it successful. I'm not saying it's easy, but the right deal at the right price that's aligned with your existing business, either adjacent to your business. Maybe you're a roofing contractor and you're going to cross-sell, upsell into plumbing, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Or you're going to go in the direction that you mentioned by opening up a new geography. It makes perfect sense. And it does not cost hundreds of thousands, certainly not millions of dollars to do. You can buy a small competitor in an adjacent market, 30 minutes from your metro. And you keep doing that, and you keep doing that. But those businesses are paying their own debt service, and they're still rolling over free cash flow to you. It's not rocket science. Initially, it can be scary because you're taking on debt. You have a personal guarantee. I get all that. But again, right now with debt service coverage ratio and SBA guidelines, you are so protected. Lenders are not going to give you money to get into a bad deal because it's their money.
I would also tell you that it's best to have a team in place to avoid mistakes. and from overpaying to getting the wrong chemistry, the wrong fit for your company. But you also might find an opportunity where you learn and glean something from that owner that's had that business for 20, 30, 40 years. And you learn some things that you can bring back to your own business and empower that business as well.
On our call earlier today, we were talking with an owner that wants to transition, at true retirement age, understandable, wants to do a family transaction, which is awesome, but doesn't want to quit working because, entrepreneurs, we love what we do. We're passionate. Now, maybe we don't want to do it 60 hours a week anymore. Maybe we want to focus only on those tasks that we enjoy the most, and the buyer, or we hire a manager or somebody to do those other things that we don't enjoy so much. But he's in a position, current SBA guidelines, he can work indefinitely for the company, whether he sells it to, in that case, his daughter or a third party. SBA now allows the seller with no rollover equity. We can have rollover equity, which means that they maintain a percentage ownership of the company that they, upon a subsequent sale, they would receive proceeds from. But with or without rollover equity, the SBA now allows a seller, it doesn't matter your age, you can be 30 or you can be 80. If you want to continue working, it's no longer limited to 1 year. You can stay engaged in that company as a contractor or an employee or a consultant indefinitely. It's an ideal environment. This is the golden age of exiting our greatest generation's businesses that they've been building for, again, 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years.
I would encourage you, whether you're looking to grow your business or whether you're looking at an exit strategy, let us know who you are. We want to know who you are, get you in our database, get you on our radar. And if you say you're looking to grow, we'll go to work and we'll start searching your areas for those opportunities, both now and that might come up in the not too distant future. If you're looking to exit, we're combining people, owners that maybe have never thought about acquiring another business, but now we're educating people on what that means. Guys, this was episode 35 of our podcast, Scale to Sell. You check out all of our podcasts, you'll learn something, catch up. You can binge, listen, watch, or whatever onto these podcasts. You don't have to listen to them all the time. We do a couple a month. You can check out our YouTube channel. Sign up for our business builder tips that we give out and hand out there to grow your business as well. If you like to get the value done, if you like to have what I consider one of the best M&A people in the country, Jeff Snell here, to do that opinion of value, it's worth thousands, in some cases tens of thousands. As friends of the show, as friends of ours, he will do that for you, and you should have it done annually, right? And all you got to do to get that opinion of value or get in hold of us is go to scaletosell.com/value, scaletosell.com/value. And we look at talking to you in the not too distant future. Jeff, I'm going to start wrapping things up here. Any final thoughts or words before we end the call?
I want to encourage everybody, that there's a contingent that feels that if you're not paying for it, it has no value. I can assure you that knowing the value of your business is of critical importance. I'm a firm believer that you can't manage what you don't measure. And if you don't know the value of your business, you're not measuring it and you're not managing it.
They can write you a check if they want to, Jeff. They can write you a check if they want to, but it's worth a lot. It's worth a lot. And you, again, as Jeff said before I stepped on him, you need to know the value. We believe it's important to know and grow and protect and eventually harvest that value. But Jeff, we appreciate your time today. We'll see you on future podcasts. Guys, if you're looking to grow through acquisition or just want to know the value of your business, what is the marketplace? Not what you think it's worth. What does the marketplace say it's worth? That's the real number. That's what's important, and that will help you grow. You got to know before you can grow, and then you got to protect. And then eventually one of these days you'll look at harvesting. Guys, scaletosell.com/value, scaletosell.com/value. Jeff Snell, we enjoy you being here on the podcast with us. We look forward to talking to you all in the future. Take care. Be safe.
Thank you for listening to Scale to Sell with Adam Burton and Steve Burton. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.scaletosell.com or give us a call at 757-313-4080. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Scale to Sell. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing, tax, legal, or other advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified professionals with any questions you may have regarding your personal or professional plans. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.